Ooh, scissors. Perfect. You can use a lot of different calibers, though. It's low on health. The gun that I've got is in good shape. This thing is not. So I guess the puppets shoot you, which makes this game way more interesting to me. She's got a Guy Fawkes mask now. Yeah, now I can take his gun. Cool, I have 2 guns. And I'm hurt, but... I'm bleeding and I need a bandage, I guess. So let's see what we can do about cut this rags and see if I can use it for a bandage or whatever. In the vicinity, I got nothing. How's that right? Alright, cut up my underpants then. Cut into rags. Oh, my dinner. Yes. Treat. My butt's bleeding, or like my thighs are bleeding or something. I don't know. Where are the rag strips I cut? I don't really understand that. I have a lower bleeding injury that's gonna be really bad. I can't treat this with that. Fuck. Yeah, I think I'm gonna quit this game here. It's fun, but you know, I think I'm done with it for the night. And I'm gonna watch something now on YouTube while I eat dinner.
I remember this map. Yeah, the map was pretty big. Xavier, what about the game seems more boring to you than DayZ? The gameplay loop for Scum and DayZ are identical. I would say DayZ is more of a player versus player focused game, and Scum is more like a PvE experience, with also with a player versus player experience too. But I'd say Scum is probably the better PvE game. DayZ is probably the better PvP game. Yeah, I left the rope because we could easily make more. It's not a big deal. We just need some sticks. So we just gotta be careful going into town here. What is this? What do we do with it?
Water though, ice water.
Looks clear right now.
Oops.
Empty bag.
Pets say Lou.
Is so fucking big. That's great.
Yeah, it's really big, and it's sort of needlessly big. A bushman. Okay. That's alive.
It's something I've not had a video about for quite a while. It's one that people don't typically care about all too much. I don't get a ton of viewership on these anymore, mostly because the community about Dark and Darker has both incredibly shrunk now to the point where, you know, that's going to be a core focus of this video, I guess. The player base is massively smaller than it once was. And another, because a lot of the people who cared about Dark and Darker hate me. And the reason that they hate me is because I read legal documents, read Korean reports, talked to Korean people, talked to developers, talked to lawyers, talked to everybody I potentially could, spent dozens and dozens of hours of going through everything, and then said, this is my opinion as a non-lawyer, but somebody who's like as informed as a layman could possibly be about Nexon's lawsuit against Dark and Darker and Iron Mace. And because it was the Nexon probably have a point, Iron Mace probably did wrong, and it wasn't, I like video game go up, Nexon bad, boom boom, like everyone just hated me, of course. And there's going to be an interesting point here. It's going to sound like a conspiracy theory, but just wait and hear me out. The big news here, there's three pieces. Number one, we now know why exactly Epic Games removed Dark and Darker from the store, and it's exactly what I speculated when this first happened a few months ago. Basically, they've said, hi there, we removed Dark and Darker from sale on the Epic Games Store on March 5th. This is when I last made the video talking about it, saying that it's obviously really bad news for Dark and Darker, and it's basically a cavalcade of bad news for Dark and Darker right now, as we'll get to. But this is in consideration of a court decision in Korea between Nexon and the game's publisher Iron Mace. On November 1st, 2025, we're going to be removing Dark and Darker from your library, at which point it will no longer be playable via the Epic Games Store. Now, I want you to understand what they're saying here and just how deeply serious this is. So, Epic Games, the storefront Epic Games, the Epic Store, they had Dark and Darker on the store. In fact, they felt so good about the game, they were giving the game away to people as part of one of their promotions, which undoubtedly will have increased the player numbers, right? And then, due to the lawsuit in Korea, which for some reason people still in the Dark and Darker subreddit and community think Iron Mace won and that Iron Mace did nothing wrong. I don't know how, guys. I really don't understand. I don't get it at this point if you're that uninformed. But essentially, due to that lawsuit, a bunch of companies scattered. A bunch of companies wanted nothing to do with them. And not only are they saying we won't be working with them as like a partner and giving away the game, not only are they saying we're removing your ability to buy the game from the store, but they are actually removing the game from people's accounts. They're saying, we just don't want this game on our platform, full stop. We don't want you to be able to play it. We don't want you to be able to buy it. We don't want you to be able to buy microtransactions through the game you already own. It's gone. So obviously when this news
Software developers becoming thieves.
initially came out on March 5th, that the game was no longer for sale on the store, you could still play it. You still can now until November 1st, 2025, don't get me wrong. But that's when the game's going to be literally pulled off the platform completely. You're not even going to be able to launch it. It won't even show up in your client if you did own it. So at that time, the Iron Mace people came out on the Discord and said, we're looking into it. We don't know anything about it. You know, we'll update you. We'll let you know. I don't think they ever did. But essentially, this was just Epic Games saying, we don't want to touch this thing. We don't want anything to do with it. It's damaged goods, basically. And a bunch of companies did this. Krafton did it as well. Krafton had partnered with Dark and Darker to use their image rights, basically. I don't know if that's the term you'd use for this. But essentially the name and the setting and things like that. But they basically believed in Iron Mace's innocence so little that they refused to use any code, any assets, anything from Dark and Darker that could potentially be part of any kind of litigation from Nexon if it was to be found that they did something wrong, which was eventually, of course, found. So when this came out in Korea in the courts, they even distanced themselves and said, we're no longer going to be affiliated with you at all. We're not going to use your game's name. We're not going to use anything from the game because that's essentially all we were licensing out was the likeness of Dark and Darker in the name. So no longer with that. So everybody is distancing themselves. The Epic Games have said we're going to issue a refund to everyone who purchased a legendary status upgrade. Refunds are going to be issued to the original players' payment methods, and where that's not possible, players are going to receive an Epic account balance refund. We are unable to provide refunds on Redstone shards. If you've not received a refund by July 1st, please contact player support. So Epic Games are so fucking done with being involved with Iron Mace that they're refunding people who, through the promotion, upgraded the free version of the game to the legendary version. They're like, we don't even want the money. Like, we want nothing to do with this.
Yep.
Now, some people are saying Epic are just, like, bad. And, you know,
nope.
Epic bad now. Everybody bad that's not on the side of Iron Mace and Dark and Darker, despite being found in a court to have done bad things. And some people in the community are saying this is, you know, Epic being spineless or whatever. Some people are asking what this means for Steam and things. In the video I made about this initially, before we had Epic's word on what was going on, what I said was, I don't think Steam will remove the game from the Steam library, because Steam, by and large, don't get involved in anything. I think it makes more sense for Epic Games if they have a working relationship with Nexon, and Epic Games, by the way, is involved in lawsuits with other companies, and they're kind of like a little bit more sensitive, I guess, to some business things that are going on. Whereas Steam, almost famously so, are so incredibly hands-off with everything that they will just let anything happen right up until the point where it inconveniences them or somebody hands them like a court order. They don't give a fuck. Is the game going to be removed from Steam? I don't think so. I think with what the legal situation is in Korea currently, there's appeals going on, and appeals are about to begin again. It's about to be heard in court again from both sides. Obviously, what happened was when the court decided on the judgment, you have to pay this amount of money to Nexon. We don't find you guilty of copyright infringement, but we do find you guilty of trade secret infringement, or whatever it's called, theft of trade secrets. Iron Mace obviously wants to have an appeal here, to have none of this happen, and Nexon want an appeal to get more money off of them, or even more. Who knows what that even more could even be? We'll find out. But this is going to happen in July, so we're not massively far off of seeing this, and this is for the High Court. Very important. This could go either way. It could mean really good things, it could mean really bad things, depending on who you are, what kind of the way it is. Now, what I wanted to talk about other than this is, I think Dark and Darker is dead as a product. I think Dark and Darker is going to die as a game very soon. And you're going to say, Kira, not only are you a biased, lying, fraudulent shill piece of shit, because you said, you know, Dark and Darker was developed by means that should not have been used, and was on Nexon's side, even though you were then proven to be right by courts, which of course now people are saying you can't trust the courts because they're Korean. But not only am I all those things, while also being correct, of course, I'm a piece of shit because I have like a tinfoil hat conspiracy here of doing YouTube for 5 years. Reddit never.
I can't load.
Reddit never agrees with me, no matter if I'm proven right. Being early is the same thing as being wrong, especially if it's something people like. The only way people on Reddit,
my character's gone,
criticized or a topic I've covered that is against, you know, I like video game, the only time I have ever seen the community cite me as a source, praise my work, say I was correct, or don't tell me to die, is when the narrative is so against the game that the game is on death's door. That's piece of evidence one. You can call that an intangible or a conspiracy theory, but just, you know, follow me for the ride. In this thread, the second highest voted comment thread praises me, links my video as a source, talks about all the things I talked about and pointed out in the video. Years ago, by the way, I was saying all of this. And it's not been downvoted into oblivion, and nobody's emailed me saying that they want to gouge my eyes out or, you know, send location yet. So that's number one. For people to be upvoting anything that involves me at all in the Dark and Darker subreddit, either the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse are here and they be riding, or the game is doing really, really badly, and the consensus in the community is fuck the company, the game is, you know, not doing super well. Now add that to some numbers here. Obviously Dark and Darker was sold on a different platform. We don't have those numbers. We can't know how many people are playing that. But we do have what is referred to as a consistent trend here of game launches. Oh, it's back on Steam. Exciting. Amazing.
This game did not save my settings.
Oh, promotions. Oh, we're falling off a cliff. Repeat, repeat, repeat. Now, not only do we have that, but we have Dark and Darker blowing money out of its ass. We have Dark and Darker, we have Iron Mace, their financial report that was,
it didn't save any of my settings, even the mouse settings. I don't really get that.
Sales decreased in 2024 by 24%. Now, if you were somebody who could, you know, look at the stats of,
I don't think I'm going to play it again
on Steam for the game, you would see, okay, it was the most popular and made the most money in 2023.
It's weird that my character was just fucking gone. Yeah, like the game didn't save progress. What the fuck was that? No way, this game doesn't fucking save. But it didn't do that. It didn't even save my goddamn game. What? I mean, no. I did. I exited the game in the proper in-game menu. My shit's gone. I did not. Well, that was a fun game for a little bit, but I immediately saw that it had serious issues. Like, if you erase my game the first time I play or whatever, I don't know, man. What else are you gonna fuck me with? Where's my sandbox character I just made? That's horseshit. I wanted those 2 guns I found. I don't know. Maybe I'll, no, that game just, like, canceled out, did it? That seems weird. But anyways, I do actually want to try Scum one more time and see if I can get it to load a save. I don't know, or, like, save a save, actually. If I want to test it and go back to the exit screen and just see what happens. I want to get in the character, load, land, and then save out and see what happens, because that seems insane. Jagex owns BattleEye. What's with your shit? You erased all of my settings, like even the graphics, I think. You did. You completely fucking did not save anything at all. Why? No, this game's old. I think it'll run fine. Like in Epic, yeah, everything Epic. I think it's probably fine. So I don't know, maybe I want to hear what the normal shit sounds like. Speakers, noise, push to talk on. Yeah, you reset like all of my goddamn settings. Maybe it's just an issue one time. I don't know. I have to like remake a fucking whole character. It's fucking annoying. Well, I'll worry about that in a minute. The rest of it I can kind of worry about. That's fine later. Croatia.
My life was a peaceful one.
Shut up, you. Can't you balance your fucking videos?
Secure communication established. Prisoner, you can call me Dina.
There, that's a little better.
This part of the protocol is kept short to increase the chances of you not becoming a human pancake. Use the following parachuting instructions, and I will make contact if you land safely. Secure channel closed.
Okay. First thing we do. I don't think I changed any of that stuff, I don't think. So
Secure communication
we're going to go to the main
established.
menu.
Welcome to the Scum Island. I am an AI created by Tech One Corporation. My full designation is Dual Energetic Entity Neural Appliance version 2.0. My intellect excels, but the creators think I am best used as a tutorial, protocol overseer, and body performance analyst. I will now provide basic movement instructions.
So I was hoping to get like an auto save.
Your survival rate is 4.32% higher just by not standing still. You have now been granted access to my knowledge database, the Codex. Access it now.
It's got that third-party game jank to it. But it's got a lot of good stuff, you know. I don't really see how it's better than Once Human. Although I don't know. I don't know what the base building's like in this. Oh, yeah. I'm online. Well, now I want to go to the main menu. You seem to do fine saving my character now. I guess I have to save to the main menu, I guess. I don't know. When I exit game, you don't save. I mean, what the fuck was with that? I spent like 2 hours playing and you threw it away. You like fucking threw that all away. And that doesn't give me a positive impression of this developer right away. Immediately, I'm like, maybe I should just, you know, skip the problem and not do the bullshit and get mad over a lost character or something. I don't know. I don't like the food and water system, and it seems like it's going to punish me. Like, it already feels like it's like... I don't know what that means. I kind of want to disable exhaustion. I just want you to run. I don't like your stupid exhaustion system. Because the game's too big. You guys always have problems with your fucking design. So this is like a racetrack? Yeah, it is. It's like a racetrack. Dirt track. So those green things are the cities, apparently. Am I bleeding? I have a bleeding injury, do I? Yeah, I could probably swim across, but I don't know. Okay, so let's say that I bomb out here. Do you quick save when I... Do you quick save where I log? Do you do an auto save? You do. Okay, so I don't know. I guess I don't know. Something I did last time was bad. I exited wrong. I think you're supposed to exit to the main menu, and I don't know. Well, I like where I'm at. Can you drink this water? No, this is like salt water, and I don't think you're supposed to drink it. What was that? Oh god, move. You're not letting me move. Oh, I don't like this stone at all. Man, this is a lot of puppets. Ah, why did you fall? Get back up. Oh, jumping really, like, tires you out, huh? I like this game, but the amount of time that it intends to steal from you, it seems sort of insane for what little it provides in return. I mean, it provides a really cool experience, but I don't know. I guess there's farming in this, and it's a very deep game. It's a beautiful game. It's better looking than 7 Days, and probably a better combat system. That was creepy. He was like right there. Damn. You got anything in here? Anything at all? No, I'm trapped in here. I'm gonna have to fight him. Shame it's not a real motorcycle. I don't really like the looting. I don't think it's very fun. I mean, most of the time it's empty. Wait, there's a motorcycle cruiser in here? What do you mean? Oh no, that shell of a cruiser. Yeah, this shell of a cruiser, this thing? Oh yeah, no thanks. I mean, matches are good, I'll take them. But what can you even do with them? Boy, the game's slow for how boring and sort of dumb it is. There's not much to do. It checks the boxes because it has like zombie spawn. And like a PvE sandbox builder. But I don't think I like it enough. It's the problem. Ooh, a hiking backpack. That's really good. Damn, maybe that changes things too. Well, I'm glad I found that. Wow, hiking backpack was huge. So she got a shirt and yoga leggings. I suppose I should go get a spear before I fight an enemy. Which will mean rocks. I like the game, I guess. It just has like kind of an interesting slow time eating approach, you know? I have a screwdriver, do I? I mean, that's pretty much like a melee weapon. Boy, the loot sucks. You open like 5 things and nothing happens. The houses are kind of one and the same, and they're all like empty and sort of featureless. But it is sort of hand-drawn. Not really. I think for PvP, this would be interesting. Hey, a banana. A kitchen knife. That's good. That's a good find. That's pretty good. Here's a kitchen stove. Oh, I can cook on it. Used to cook meals. So there's like on the stove. But I can't cook food because I probably don't have any food. But at least I have a knife now and I can cut things. Apparently not. The game's kind of boring. I don't know. Maybe after you produce bullets and stuff, it starts to get good, but then I think the monuments are probably just annoying, you know? Bolts and a car repair kit. Wow, that's a big item. Box of bolts. Weed repellent. It's better than DayZ. A parsnip. This is the best run I've had. Maybe I should just quit while I'm ahead here. Military compass. So 4. Oh, I threw it. Oops. How do you use the compass? Ah. Yeah, but I don't have a direction. I don't see a direction. I don't know. This game has got so many problems. Like, every time you get a power gain, you're like, it doesn't work. And you're like, it doesn't help. You know, it's weird. Oh, okay. Oh, you have to hold right trigger? Okay. Never mind. Now I understand. What is focus mode? Oh! No, no, that's not it. Hmm. I can't see. I'm all fucked up. Like, I like this game, but it eats your time and it doesn't have enough good combat, and it seems like it's kind of got an economy based off starvation, which means you have to spend more time. If you want ammo, you have to like go probably mine it or something dumb, or I don't know, go search tons and tons of monuments. And I've never really thought this sort of gameplay was that good. Now, the game, I think, is a high quality game. And it probably has a lot of really cool stuff to it. Like boats and flight. This game has boats and flight. So eventually you can, like, helicopter to the monument if you want. And it probably becomes a lot interesting then. A lot more interesting then. But I don't know. I think this game's got fundamental problems that I'm not sure I want to deal with. I don't know. I think on that note, I'm gonna stop, guys. You know, it's a nice return to it, but yeah, Scum, I think is kind of like a dead game. They didn't really fix a lot of the problems, and it's still so slow. I don't know. It is what it is. I don't really feel like going to bed yet. I'll play some Mortal. Yeah, like I think Mortal's a better survival game with cooler like housing and stuff than that game with a lot more people. Okay. Oh, okay. Your survival skill, huh? Oh, okay.
Right? We don't have those numbers.
Oops.
Easy, dude. My bandage? That TM. It's like those games and like do PvP stuff. I get bored of those games really quick. Even Scum, you know, like games like this. Like once I've achieved Lootopia, I'm good. You know what I mean? I'm like, all right, we can move on to something else. All right, let's put those earplugs in. Those will help out with shooting. Sure. Get a stick to fire to these sweatpants. Nope, they're worse storage-wise. Yeah, I mean, you could go fight as many zombies as you want early on. I wouldn't advise it though. You'd get slaughtered. We've already fought 2 and we got beat up pretty bad. Press V for what? For what? All it does is raise and lower my weapon. ATM. I got no money. Relax. And then we could here. Yeah, closest trader's right here. So now that we have, as you can, here we go. We got a lime soda.
Game seems boring.
Money. They're like $2,000.
Look, he is now like 2 hours in, and he's still just running. Like,
I'm gonna be sick. Oh, just trying to figure out what to eat. Really good at cooking. My egg.
see, the game's like an exercise in desperation all the time. Like you can't make a foundation that stops it either. You're just like, where's my next meal? Where's my next water?
With a little bit of olive oil.
I like the way the rain looks.
With some nut. do some baked haddock tomorrow with some rice.
Like, let's look at the combat he had to do.
Whatever the game is.
Oh, right, the combat. Oh, right, I forgot the combat's so bad. I forgot. Oh, right. Oh. No, Mortal is better than this game. I'm not going to spend my Mortal time on this game, no. It's a good game. It's probably so fun co-op, you know? Oh, look at that bow combat. Ugh.
Enable lock loop container respawn ability. Which means I think we gotta go main menu and come back in. That wasn't a big change. Okay. Well, we'll roll with 2 in this town that we just got in. I think we have them. Yeah, I ain't too worried. Up the zone. I think we should. I'll do 50. I ain't worried about it, dude. Oh, well, we got a phone. We'll figure that shit out here. Like what? Richard?
Now he's been playing for 3 hours, and while it is interesting and a bunch of cool stuff happened...
It goes, or inch out.
Look, he's still just running to the next fucking place. There's not really, like base building is probably good, but...
Multiplayer. It just doesn't work. So, for instance, I was playing single-player Scum, just like this. We were holding strong viewership just like this. Every episode was banger after banger after banger after banger. I swapped over. We started doing some multiplayer stuff. My viewership cut in over half.
Wow.
Happening, my opinion. You guys can say I'm wrong or agree. It doesn't matter. But in my opinion, obviously, when I'm doing the multiplayer playthrough, I have to focus on the people I'm playing with because that's the whole point of it. And I feel like you guys in chat end up getting put on the back burner. You guys are just kind of spectating.
Yep.
Small toolbox. I actually needed this for a quest. But I feel like then you guys end up getting put on the back burner and you kind of just, there's like spectating. And
yeah, that's why I don't do co-op or multiplayer all the time.
I don't think people enjoy it.
Yeah.
Because not that, there's not content creators that do that kind of stuff. I think they've just built their channel around that, and that's what their viewers are used to. Here, my viewers are used to communicating with me, having fun, and interacting with me, and not just sitting on the sidelines the whole entire stream. So I do feel like that's one of the main reasons.
I like Mortal better. I know I do. It's weird.
I thought I heard a voice, but then I'm like, I don't think people talk in this game. Boss. No.
See, look, he went 4 hours and he still doesn't even have like a base down, and the amount of time that the game steals is just.
First starting off with it, but nobody just plays what they want. Everybody has a niche and something they're good at that they attract viewers with. But yeah, when you're smaller, you kind of have a lot more freedom in what you do, because when I started doing YouTube, I had a full-time job. I drove truck for a living. I was a tractor trailer driver, so I'd come home and kind of just do YouTube on the side. So if my YouTube channel didn't do well, it didn't affect anything. It didn't affect my life whatsoever. Hadn't, like, you know what I mean? I could play game after game after game, and the only thing I would have to worry about is not growing on YouTube and not being,
Yep.
growing my channel.
I'm gonna go kill the lights in my
I'm
house.
YouTuber. I do YouTube to pay the
I feel like staying up late today, and it's weird because it's a Wednesday.
bills. This has now become a full-time job. You have to at that point consider what you're playing, because if I start playing something and nobody wants to watch it, it's like, okay, one game might not work. You guys said you could pick corn? I'll try it. We'll see. But yeah, you could try one game and it doesn't work. You're like, okay, and then the next game it doesn't work, and you just say, fuck yeah, I'm just gonna play whatever I want. Yeah, you can do that, but what happens when you still have bills to pay? You know what I mean? At the end of the day, it's like, well, yeah, I can't pay the rent this month because I decided to continuously try to force a game that nobody on my channel really wanted to watch. It just doesn't work, you know what I mean? Because now it's a business, you know what I mean? You have to look at it differently when it's your job.
Yeah, I will never let my job become like that. I'll play whatever the fuck game I want to play. I don't care if you like Final Fantasy 11 or not. I'm playing it. Yeah, maybe I want to spend. I don't know. I'm still not there yet. All I need is Signet, I guess.
Compared to when it's just a hobby or something you just do for fun. The corn stack cannot.
I don't like this gameplay compared to Rust Zombies even.
There's a...
You know, it's weird. I think so many of these people need Rust Zombies. It's weird. But then it is multiplayer and shitty. Any place that these toilet bug people can go,
a lot of people don't know that
it's just ruined.
Get out of here, dude. Get out of here,
I don't think
dude. We don't
Stoner
talk
is.
about that. Another guy inside there. I wanted to check this range and see if we could get some goons. First time I came out, that was like a game.
Look at how much time he spent. Now the game's
I
good,
don't know
but
if I don't know if it gets worse.
let's look at Scum Flight and just see what it's like.
Oh, hello. Welcome. Plane. So first things first, why don't you go ahead and get yourself a plane, which is already difficult enough in and of itself. I mean, short of just finding one, I suppose. Once you're in it and you got it all fueled up, you're going to scroll up on the mouse pad to go ahead and essentially get it started. You're going to see it move forward kind of slowly. Be careful not to do this too quick, otherwise your plane will flip. And as you see, I'll just go ahead and press spacebar and then press S to get my plane nice up in the air. And then now I can press W to go down, S to go up,
Wow.
D to swing to the right, and S to swing to the left. If I want to turn left, I'll just hit I'll hit A to turn the plane, and then S to swing it. And then now I'm turning, and I'm flying my, these things are a little finicky, and they're super hard to land, so be careful, and make sure to go ahead and watch your fuel. Whoa, okay. Okay, I gotta go ahead and set this mug down after that. That was sketchy. That was super sketchy. Stop. Oh. Wow.
See, the game is cool. Like, the game is cool like that. But the amount of bullshit that you probably have to do to reach that, like, it's probably 500 hours or something before you can just hop in a plane like that and fly. It's dumb. Not that I'm complaining about the time. I'm just like, the game's so slow and boring that that's a lot of time to ask. There's a pontoon boat. Wow. Why are you taking this on the low? Let's go.
It really is an exciting time to be part of the community, and I myself can't wait to see where the game goes in the coming years.
Which is nowhere. They like that. Like, now that they've got all this out, they just want to sit on their laurels, and that's the problem. I don't think they're gonna improve the combat or anything. The game could use combat numbers. I mean, there's a lot of things that it's missing. It doesn't have that feel of an RPG. It has that feel of a DayZ. And well, you know, let's take a look at a base building guide, because maybe the Cozy and Scum is worth doing like a 200-hour playthrough or something. But I bet it's so much hassle probably to get these materials together that you almost probably don't want to do it.
So to get started, you will first need the most basic base building supplies. Things you will need to get started are a tool to cut wood/sticks, which could be an axe, a saw, or a chainsaw. You will also need nails for door frames and rope for some of the basic base elements. Tools needed for base building can be found by looting on the island.
See, look,
you
that
also
like
have the ability
wait.
Tools needed.
See, look, like their base building is crap. Look, it's utter crap.
Base building can be found by looting on the island.
Oh no, that was just some. That
also
was
have
just
the
a prefab. Never mind.
Ability to craft a basic axe or knife to help you get started. Now that you have established your base area and have placed your flag, you can begin base building. There are limitless ways to build a base, but
he's like reading a script very badly.
You need to build a perimeter wall or a small cabin, a door to get in and out of your perimeter wall.
Oh yeah, it's like dead side
Or cabin, and a place to store your loot, which can be done with a chest or a wardrobe.
Oh, I mean, Nightingale's probably more RP than this.
Now that is the most basic form of a base, and is not very secure depending on what server you're playing on. If you play on a PvE server, then that is all you need, but if you play on a PvP server, then you will need to spend more time building and upgrading your base to make sure it is more secure. If you are playing on a PvP server, then I recommend you build multiple doors, multiple layers of walls around a prefab building. The minimum amount of wall layers I tell new players they should target is 3, and when it comes to doors, the more you have, the better. More doors equals more locks protecting your loot. Now that you have built one of your first bases in Scum, you will need to know a few more things to improve it just a little bit.
I mean, it's a good game, and I'm glad I own it. But I don't. I think it's just far too along the DayZ lines. I mean, I swear to God, Rust Hardcore Zombies is better than this. I know it is. It's supremely better than this. I know it is. So I'm sort of like, I'd rather just stomach dealing with harassment on Rust than. But the problem is, Rust, like, I don't know. This game also, I guess it doesn't really wipe your fucking progress ever, so you could just keep fucking building.
Bit more.
But I mean, why?
Just make sure that on your doors you are utilizing enforced locks, dial locks, and lock protection. This will help slow down lockpickers trying to raid your base. Put out mines and traps to help defend your base. Mines and traps are
What could you possibly steal that would be worth stealing? Guns, I guess. Yeah.
Raiders to avoid, but they will help slow down raiders. Nail traps and improvised mines are the most commonly used ways of base defense in Scum. Once you have built your base, you now have the ability to upgrade your base elements to make them stronger. Go to the element you want to upgrade, hold F on it, and select upgrade. Then look at the blueprint to see what items are needed to complete the upgrade. When building in a prefab, you can utilize window fortifications to block off windows that players are able to jump through. You can also use window fortifications as shooting points for base defense. Another common base defense strategy is utilizing barbed wire elements around your base. Barbed wire elements will damage players if they run into them, so the only
so you can like camp in any prefab? But I mean, you would need like all this cutting tools and planks and garbage that takes forever.
way for players to get around
It's not like
them
you just go chop wood, get a building plan, and start building.
is to either destroy them or jump over them. Lastly, Scum is a PvP-based survival game, so you will be raided, but do not give up. Use the raid as a learning opportunity to improve at the game and think of ways to improve your base and rebuild. Scum is a difficult game to get started in, but once you learn the basics and start gaining experience, the game becomes extremely enjoyable. I hope you found this video useful, and if you did, feel free to hit
I
that
don't
like
like
button
this
so
shot.
you
Goodbye. I don't, buying a 7-Eleven so I can film every day. Oops. The Civil War and drugs is funny. $2 a.m. I should go to bed because it'll take me a while to get to bed. But I'm not tired. Oh yeah, cake. Yeah, I remember cake.
Okay, so why am I making a video essay about a 70s picture book series?
Thank you, Quality
Well, it's
Culture. I'd like to
autumn.
sub
It's
to your
time to
channel.
get a little cozy, a little
This should
nostalgic.
change my life.
Here's my 6-year-old signature. These are antiques. And I know
Oh,
these
she's
are
beautiful.
basic little books that taught us how to read, but I want to use it as a basis to discuss bigger ideas.
Yeah,
An
there
English
were bigger ideas in Frog and Toad, yeah.
Professor Dr. Rosenberg actually uses them in her class. At first, all her students think they're way too simple to possibly gain anything, but she considers it a good lesson in critical literacy and analysis, especially since you're forced to dig a little deeper. And if that's not enough, the book's author said all of the Frog and Toad stories are based on adult preoccupations, really. I was able to tilt them somehow so that a child could appreciate them too, but I think that adults also enjoy them, and I think that's probably why. It's because they're really adult stories, slightly disguised as children's stories. Also, this is just a silly little video on youtube.com, like, whatever, it's fine. Frog and Toad touched on a bunch of concepts I've been trying to, whatever, it's fine. Frog and Toad touched on a bunch of concepts I've been trying to internalize. I think it's easy for a lot of the lessons they try to teach us as children to just go over our heads. But there's gotta be a reason these little stories stick with us for decades. So yeah, this is elementary level self-help. In this video, I'm gonna explore the author's vision, the themes in the stories, and look into why Frog and Toad is so cozy and wholesome. The Frog and Toad series is 4 books, or easy readers, published throughout the 70s and written and illustrated by Arnold Lobel. I realize he has one of those names with a bunch of different pronunciations. Lobel. But thankfully, this handy website has author recordings.
Hello, I'm Arnold Lobel.
Growing up
Lobel.
in the 30s and 40s, Lobel was bullied and isolated as a kid, kept to himself a lot, and even had a period of prolonged illness at one point. But he was good at telling stories to his peers, so much so that teachers asked him to take over and tell a story when there was nothing else going on and they wanted the kids to stay still. As an adult, he got his start illustrating for other authors, like nearly 100 books. He actually preferred illustrating to writing, but eventually wrote and illustrated a few of his own, though he didn't really get recognition until Frog and Toad are friends in 1970, when he really decided that instead of trying to figure out what kids would like, if he was going to be a writer, he was going to be like any other writer and have it come from within. And he was pretty surprised by its success. In one interview, he said, "I really don't quite know what I'm doing." The interviewer responded, "Some part of you knows." And he said, "No, really not," which, mood. Of course, the characters themselves, the eponymous Frog and Toad, were the key to his success. And by the way, I'm going to be using clips from this 80s claymation. I'll let you decide if it's cute or off-putting.
What a fine garden you have, Frog.
Speaking of, Lobel watched a lot of TV with his kids, especially comedies. And the Frog and Toad dynamic is very clearly inspired by that classic comedic duo, in the vein of Abbott and Costello and Bert and Ernie. Personally, I think of Toad as the George Costanza of children's literature. He's a bit neurotic and cranky and overthinks, and much like with Squidward, the older we get, the more we realize we're more like Toad than we thought. Lobel seems to think so too, remarking that Toad is like most of us. He knows the limits. He never goes over the line. There's always a certain logic to everything he does. He's irritated because he's looking for something that he hasn't found. He's the kind of person who, if something goes wrong, goes to bed. I don't know who Frog is in comparison, but he's the inverse of Toad. He's more chill and cheerful and outgoing, so they form that lovable and familiar balance. Lobel found comfort in children's books even as an adult, and felt the good ones ultimately had more to offer than just pretty pictures. And he's right. It seems kids are often most impacted when they're not condescended to, or put another way, not treated like children. At least those are the kind of stories I remember most. He didn't even use controlled vocabulary despite it being an I can read book. I think ironically this all stems from his not really knowing how to talk to kids. Though he wished the best for children, it didn't really mean he wanted to be around them, and he often declined speaking events. He pointed out that some of the most notable children's authors were in the same boat. Quote, Maurice Sendak has never been within 2 feet of a child, and Hans Christian Andersen was a fussy, prissy old maid of a bachelor, and I don't think he would have children anywhere within 10 miles of him. So yeah, you don't need to love children's company to write for or care for them. And Lobel did care for them. He loved Frog and Toad most for their accessibility, which was accomplished mostly in 3 ways. 1, they're cheap, so schools and kids could get them easier. 2, he said using animals brings it to everybody, and they belong to everyone. Rich, poor, white, black. It seems this sort of inclusivity was pretty important to him, maybe at least partially because he was gay. He came out to his family in the mid-70s, and this has led some people, including his daughter, to speculate that Frog and Toad was about a little more than friendship. I can just hear Alex Jones in the distance.
And the friggin' frog's gay.
This interpretation brings an added sweetness to the stories, but also melancholy since he spent most of his life closeted. Sadly, he only lived semi-openly for a few years before passing away. You can find a patch for him in the AIDS memorial quilt, made with love by school kids who treasured his creations. Using animals also made it so they could act somewhere between child and adult. They didn't have to be bogged down by the limitations of being too young or the limitations of being older with boring responsibilities. Lobel said, "You can give animals the freedom of adults while they still maintain the attitudes of children. I think children feel very restricted in their lives. They're surrounded by boundaries. Life is a prison really for most children, and they feel a release when they read stories about Frog and Toad who don't have parents. But who are children really? Their preoccupations are those of children, yet they have the freedom of adults." Also, just in a general sense, he thought stories about loving mommy and daddy in white suburbia and all the little domestic problems were just overdone and boring, and that kids didn't care about that stuff. That brings me to the style and setting. The charming drawings of a little forest life, with deliberately muted aesthetics, only using greens and browns, which is rare for children's books since they usually use plenty of bright colors. Lobel was trying to capture a particular experience of nostalgia, a sense of cozy security and safety. He talked about how as an adult, you want to create a feeling of well-being for kids, whether or not you feel it yourself. That no matter how nightmarish you feel the world is, you want to kind of hide that away for them. And eventually that sense of protection becomes part of you too. That's the root of the warmth in Frog and Toad. It's safe, it's happy, it's stress-free. It's freedom from the weight of everything. In that interview I referenced, Lobel mentioned, "I'm very careful in the stories not to make any direct allusions to modern life. That's something I just sense not to do. Frog and Toad don't call each other on the telephone. Toad takes a walk and he visits Frog. He could, I suppose, pick up the telephone and call, but that would be too much. The world would be too much with them." Even in 1977, that was too much. And now it's 10 times
My
as
pig's
much. Sometimes
gone.
existence right now
Why
just
is my
feels
pig
like
gone? Did you
endless
leave
noise.
me?
And Lobel sought out to recreate the tranquil
Damn
feeling he
it.
got from children's books, what he described as the comfort of crackers and warm milk. It's something we touched
What
on
was
in our
that?
video on Ghibli films. That slice of life feeling, wanting so badly to just hold a moment in your hands and just live there. That longing for some abstract idea of comfort and rest. Maybe you miss something you can't quite articulate. Maybe it's a feeling or a moment in time, or both. So I think it's relevant to note that when I talk about a simpler life, I'm not really talking about the cottagecore aesthetic that blew up when the pandemic started. All those pretty fantasies of idyllic, isolated countryside living. Though one could argue Frog and Toad fits the criteria. Sometimes people took it a little too far and advocated some picturesque, off-the-grid ideology, romanticizing rural life and kind of ignoring that a lot of the real-life conditions associated with it is just poverty. Like, the closest I've gotten to simple living in this sense is spending some summers growing up in my mom's small town in the Dominican Republic. You had the outhouse, raising chickens, no AC, lots of mosquito nets, and rolling blackouts were the norm. I have fond memories of playing outside all day with my cousins, but I also had a Game Boy and I got to go back to an objectively easier life in suburban America come August. So yeah, I don't hope to present some delusional idea of rural ecstasy here. Even the advantages in Frog and Toad's lifestyle were pointed out in Dr. Rosenberg's paper. After some consideration, her students would start contemplating that not everyone has pretty cottages in the country, nor do all people have fine china or leisure to sit in front of a fire sipping wine. Frog and Toad are very middle class, but that secure suburban life with its amenities is so thoroughly ingrained as the default North American life, even though many people do not actually possess it. Lobel even admits as much. Quote, "It's all very bourgeois, aka bougie. There's a lot of furniture, a lot of accoutrements of the home, because that's what I am." All that being said, I think the average person who enjoys cottagecore doesn't really mean any harm by it and are generally aware that working a farm and tending a productive garden are actually pretty difficult. And I can understand the core sentiment behind the movement. It's escapism. People want to rest from all the hustle and commotion. They want to be able to say, actually, I don't want to be productive right now. I don't have anything to prove. I just want to appreciate life as it is for what it is in this moment with small things that bring me joy.
That's how my house is.
So hopefully in a bit we can pluck out the more realistic
I didn't know
and
cottagecore
practical
was a
aspects
thing.
of the simple living cottagecore fantasy and apply it to where we're at right now, since we can't all go live off the land. When we look at Frog and Toad's cozy, laid-back life, it's enviable. Lobel describes it as a sort of domesticity, nostalgia for this kind of snug security. It's inspired by his own upbringing. He says, quote, "I'm really a very domestic kind of person. I guess that comes through in the illustrations and most of my work. I'm really not much of a traveler or wanderer or adventurer, and I think that feeling certainly comes into my books. I notice that all of my books are rather homebound. I'm a small adventurer." There's also the sense of introversion. He mentions that being raised by his stoic German-Jewish grandparents equipped him with a very reserved and withdrawn personality, not the kind to embrace other people easily. I'm sure introverts and extroverts alike see the appeal of this kind of space, but it's especially irresistible to the former. In the article The Frog and Toad Stories of Arnold Lobel, A Psychoanalytic Perspective, the author remarks that as meaningful as the pastoral world of Frog and Toad is, there's meaning too when we move inside their cottages. The sense of snugness, smallness, and aliveness that recurs in popular works of children's literature is very present in the Frog and Toad books. Here, there are no intrusions from the outside world, teapot, clock, and books excepted. Chairs are ample and rounded and usually drawn close to a blazing fire. Cozy domestic interiors are, I believe, another example of internal space, and for Toad especially, they provide a womb-like refuge. It's notable that Toad's home is where most domestic scenes take place, and when there, it can seem as if we're inside Toad's head and his unconscious fantasies. Okay, so we get why these books feel good and safe and happy, provide all these pleasant feelings. But what else is going on in the narrative? Because as a 1988 article put it, being lighthearted is not the same as being lightweight. The first story I want to talk about is actually the last one. It's called Alone, and all the themes we've kind of talked about up to now about appreciating simple joys and all that are laid out pretty beautifully here. Toad visits Frog's house and discovers a note on the door. I realize I'm basically doing kindergarten story time with a bunch of 20 to 30-year-olds, but just roll with
54
it. The
gold.
note says, "Dear Toad, I'm not at home. I went out. I want to be alone." Obviously, Toad wonders why Frog would possibly want to be alone when he has a friend like Toad. He looks for Frog everywhere and finally sees him sitting on a rock in a river. He figures Frog must be sad, so he makes lunch, goes back to the river, and hitches a ride on a turtle who wisely asks, "If Frog wants to be alone, why don't you leave him alone?" And Toad, of course, takes this to mean their friendship is over, so he shouts out all kinds of apologies before falling into the river. After Frog helps him out, he explains he made the ruined lunch for Frog so he'd be happy. Frog says, "But Toad, I am happy. I'm very happy. This morning when I woke up, I felt good because the sun was shining. I felt good because I was a frog. And I felt good because I have you for a friend. I wanted to be alone. I wanted to think about how fine everything is." Toad agrees that's a pretty good reason, and now Frog's glad not to be alone, and they eat lunch together. In a video a long while back, I talked about the Greek philosopher Epicurus, whose philosophy of happiness was less rooted in indulgence and excess, and more in a modest life soothed by community and day-to-day pleasures. Frog saying he's happy about the sun shining, about being alive, about having a friend. These aren't things you can go out and buy. They're not things you can really achieve in the classical sense, but they're always the most important. And to sit down or take a walk and think about that, or even write about it, is probably the central tenet behind having a balanced, simpler life. Next story is called Spring. April has finally arrived, so Frog visits Toad to wake him up from hibernation and force him outside.
The sun is shining. The snow is melting. Wake up!
Frog describes all the things he's looking forward to doing with Toad now that it's springtime. Skip through the meadows, run through the woods, swim in the river, count the stars in the evenings.
You can count them, Frog. I am going back to bed.
But instead, Toad goes back to bed, asking Frog to come back next month. So Frog rips off the pages in Toad's calendar until he gets to May. He shows Toad and convinces him to come outside at last. So the takeaway from this one is sometimes you have to lie to get what you want. Not really, I just wanted to talk about getting outside. You know, that whole touch grass concept. I get the phrase will be overused if it isn't already, but it's a very necessary sentiment. You've heard it before, but we're not equipped to take in so much information and opinions at all times. It distorts our perception of people and makes us lose touch with reality. Embracing nature on a regular basis helps bring your mind back down to earth, more so than a YouTube video probably could. As Mary Oliver put it in Upstream, "Come with me into the field of sunflowers" is a better line than anything you'll find here, and the sunflowers themselves far more wonderful than any words about them. For the nature in Frog and Toad, Lobel drew on his childhood memories of summer spent in Vermont, where he often kept frogs and toads as pets. I also played with them a lot as a kid, spent a lot of time in the dirt. Not too long ago, I helped a frog get out of my car. Pretty sure it was an American green tree frog. It hopped on my wrist and I just kind of like watched it for a while before I put it in the grass. I still think about that frog like once a week. So yeah, nature is comforting and can remind you of how magical life can be. So try to take a weekly walk or visit a park. Now that the weather's getting cooler, you can sit outside at a cafe, whatever's convenient. Just get out there if you can spare 10 to 20 minutes. You can also look at all those cool James Webb telescope photos. Remember how big the universe is and how small we and our lives are. It can be reassuring to recognize most of the little stuff we worry about all day isn't that important. This next story is called Tomorrow. In it, Toad's house has become a mess, and as Frog points out all the chores Toad has to do, he keeps putting them off until tomorrow. Until he realizes the amount he's put off and starts fretting about the day to come. He says, well, if I do this one thing, I don't have to do it tomorrow. And that snowballs into the next little thing and the next, until he's finished and feels better, and says, now I can save tomorrow for something I really want to do. So something that's helped me form better habits as I've gotten older is treating future me like a friend. And it doesn't just have to be about keeping my space clean. It can be if I exercise today, I'll be in a better mood tomorrow. Or how about I don't impulse buy an item and save up for something I value more. I want to make life simpler for tomorrow's version of me. So like Toad, I can just take life easy. I mean, it's never going to be easy, but at least there's small things I can do to make it go a little smoother. And I love the idea of one small task at a time like Toad did, where he could have stopped at any point if he chose to. It makes it feel less overwhelming, just taking it one tiny step at a time. I guess that sort of leads me to the next story, a list. Toad makes a list of all the things he needs to do that day. I'm pretty jealous of this to-do list, my dream life. I love that he wrote wake up and I'm pretty jealous of this to-do list.
Wake up, eat breakfast, get dressed, go to Frog's house, take walk with Frog, eat lunch, take nap, play games with Frog, eat supper, go to sleep.
My dream life. I love that he wrote wake up and immediately crossed it off. Okay, so he goes down the list, crossing off what he accomplishes until a wind blows the list away. He refuses to do anything for the rest of the day because he doesn't have the list to guide him. As night falls, Frog jogs his memory and he recalls that go to sleep was on the list. He writes it in the sand, crosses it out, and they fall asleep together. The story was inspired by Lobel's own habits. He described himself as a compulsive list writer. So what I've decided to take from this is to not put too much stock in the plans you've set for yourself. Or at least not so much that if it doesn't go right, it paralyzes you from taking action in a different direction. Dr. Rosenberg points out that ironically, Toad endows the physical list with far more significance than the activities it describes. And I think we often do that, sometimes with to-do lists, sometimes with more general life plans. We become more obsessed with the planning and achieving than the outcome itself. Because even if you do reach a goal, you'll just move on to the next, and then the next. An endless cycle of productivity. You'll never be satisfied. And I think a big part of a simpler lifestyle is being content with the here and now. Not that you shouldn't have goals, but that they shouldn't be the sole measure of your self-worth or enjoyment of life. In the next story, Dragons and Giants, Frog and Toad wonder whether they're brave like the people in fairy tales.
We look brave. Yes, but Are we?
To test their bravery, they try stuff like climbing a mountain and exploring a dark cave, and in the process avoid a snake and an avalanche and a hawk. They run all the way back to Toad's house and compliment each other's bravery, while Frog hides in the closet and Toad hides under the covers.
And I'm happy to know a brave person like you, Toad.
Quote, they stayed there for a long time, just feeling very brave together. I thought this one was worth mentioning for a couple reasons. One, because like Dr. Rosenberg put it interrogates the conventions of romance and fairy tales in which those who fight dragons and giants are never afraid. Reality is dangerous, and fairy tales, this story suggests, don't give helpful information for how to deal with that danger. Frog and Toad, however, do show an appropriate response in running away from danger. As a kid, every time I read about children in fairy tales doing really cool stuff, I thought couldn't be me. So this story really validated that scaredy cat part of myself.
I'm not afraid. Or not either. Well, let's get out of here.
But also I wanted to bring up a Lobel quote. You could ask, what is the difference between a child and an adult? I think a child probably goes through all the same kind of struggles. I don't think we lose anything when we grow up. We think that we're adults and that our emotions are adult, but we're really just going through the same kind of thing that we went through as children. Maybe we were more open about revealing our feelings when we were children. I think this idea pairs nicely with this story, speaks to how we're raised to suppress the softer sides of ourselves, the parts of us that are scared or lost or weak, and instead of expressing that's how you may feel in the moment. It's a little random, but I think part of living a simpler life is accepting that these maybe less desirable feelings are inevitable. Sometimes they're worth examining and deconstructing, and sometimes it's fine to just let them be and let them pass. A grounded, manageable life isn't just about curating your surroundings, but getting more in tune with your thoughts and emotions. You may have seen memes about this next story, cookies. Toad makes a batch of cookies and takes them over to Frog's house. They eat a lot of them. Frog says, let's eat just one more. And after that, Toad says, let's eat just one more.
Oh my God,
Frog says
guys,
they need
look at...
willpower to stop.
Willpower is trying hard not to do something that you really want to do.
And they try to stop themselves. They put the cookies in a box.
We can open the box.
That is true.
They tie string around the box.
But we can cut the string and open the box.
That is true.
And they put the box up on a high shelf.
But we can climb the ladder and take the box down from the shelf.
That is true.
Finally, Frog takes the cookies outside and lets the birds take them away.
We have lots and lots of willpower.
You may keep it all. I'm going home now to bake a cake.
I'm going to take this as a commentary on consumerism. In regards to this story, Lobel said, when you take a simple situation like that, trying to check a compulsion really, you touch on the whole range of things. I guess it lends itself very perfectly to a whole aspect of fighting with oneself, and that can be for any kind of habit, gratification that one feels is bad for one. Materialism and constant consumption have become the norm. Whether you give in or not, there's a nonstop pressure to buy and spend, so it can often be difficult to feel content with what you have. Even if you've had plenty of cookies, there's always a new cookie to eat, even if just for a moment of fleeting pleasure. So when people think about minimalism, they often picture a bare, colorless living space or getting rid of all of your possessions. So the whole concept kind of turns people off. But of course, there should always be a balance. Somewhere I read the phrase, willpower is useful, but joy is essential.
I'm going home now to bake a cake.
Trying to curb consumption in its many forms, the actual core of minimalism, is really about being conscious and deliberate with what you choose to bring into your home and into your mind. If something genuinely makes you happy, then it serves a good purpose. You just have to determine what those things actually are. The dream feels a little different than the others. In it, Toad's having a dream he's in costume on a stage, and Frog is the lone audience member.
Presenting the greatest Toad in all the world.
A disembodied announcer presents Toad's various talents, playing piano, walking on a high wire, dancing. All the while, Toad boasts to Frog, asking him if he can do all these things.
You do tricks like this?
No.
Frog always replies no, growing smaller each time, until he disappears completely. Toad cries out for Frog and silences the announcer. Come back, Frog, he says, or I'll be lonely. Toad wakes up from the dream to Frog standing nearby. Toad looked at the sunshine coming through the window. Frog, he said, I'm so glad that you came over. I always do, said Frog. Then Frog and Toad ate a big breakfast, and after that they spent a fine long day together. This story reminded me of Lobel's stated reasoning for ending the Frog and Toad series. this. He felt there was a certain cruelty in the relationship, that Frog was controlling and Toad was controlled. He didn't really notice this dynamic until maybe the third book, but this story seems to show an earlier example of pushback from Toad, of trying to have the upper hand for once. Lobel based the story on a friendship he had with a person obsessed with one-upmanship. There's a tension in that kind of relationship, and if you don't fight it, especially because you care for them, you may feel as though you're shrinking. In the endless quest to achieve societal ideas of success, we may lose sight of the relationships right in front of us, those who accept us as we are right now. A lost button is pretty self-explanatory. Toad loses one of the buttons on his jacket and spends the whole day trying to find it, with the help of Frog and a bunch of other forest critters.
This is not my button.
After being presented with a bunch of buttons that aren't his, Toad finally loses it and just goes home.
The whole world is covered with buttons, and not one of them is mine.
Where he finds his button on the floor. He realizes he'd been making a fuss all day over something that didn't really matter, all the while ignoring that everyone was trying to help him. So he sews all the buttons onto his jacket and gives it to Frog as a gift. So in this, of course, is the element of appreciation, especially when people help you or put up with you in the times you're being extra. The button had been there all along, and so had Frog. So had everyone. Toad realizes this after he had a moment to cool down, and he chose to express his gratitude for Frog's patience and concern. It's a wholesome moment, and a reminder to acknowledge the people in our lives we often take for granted. It reminded me of a passage in one of my favorite books, which is coincidentally titled Who Will Run the Frog Hospital. Quote, I often think that at the center of me is a voice that at last did split, a house in my heart so invaded with other people and their speech, friends I believed I was devoted to, people whose lives I can only guess at now, that it gives me the impression that I am simply a collection of them, that they all existed for themselves but had inadvertently formed me, then vanished. But what? Should I have been expected to create my own self, out of nothing, out of thin air and alone? That brings me to the last story I wanted to talk about, The Surprise. It's October, and Frog and Toad look out of their windows to see that the autumn leaves have fallen. They each make a plan to go over to the other's house and surprise them by raking the leaves. They head over on separate paths, see the other isn't home, and get to work. As they each head home after a tiring day, a gust of wind blows the leaves everywhere again. They get home to their messy lawns, planning to rake for themselves the next day, but they're pleased about how surprised the other must have been to have gotten home to a neat lawn. That night, Frog and Toad were both happy when they each turned out the light and went to bed. I love this story for its sense of imperfection. I vaguely remember being a kid and frustrated by the idea that nothing came of their hard work. Like, what was the point? You're kind of forced to consider it beyond they did a nice thing and it paid off in the end. The point wasn't the outcome of a job well done, but the pure implication of the act itself, and the resulting joy that comes from being there for someone you love. In a New Yorker article titled Frog and Toad, an amphibious celebration of same-sex love, they try to determine meaning in this story. Quote, at the end, Frog and Toad's altruism has amounted to nothing more than the feeling they each got from it. What does a child learn from this? That doing good deeds can make the doer feel good even if those deeds go unrecognized? That those to whom we feel closest will never fully know how much we care for them? I think it's a mix of both, though most especially the sense that love was there and that was enough. Okay, so I actually didn't tell the whole ending for the first story I mentioned, Alone, which, like I said, is actually the last story in the Frog and Toad series. After Frog helps Toad out of the river and explains why he wanted to be alone, Frog and Toad stayed on the island all afternoon. They ate wet sandwiches without iced tea. They were two close friends sitting alone together. I thought there was a sort of poignant finality to it. A peaceful, perfect farewell, with Frog and Toad facing away from us and looking out into the horizon. You just knew they'd go on to have plenty more little happy adventures. As far as their relationship, I think Frog and Toad can be considered in every way. Partners, best friends, siblings, parent and child, the two halves of you. Just as their colors complement each other on the outside, their nature goes hand in hand. When asked which character he's most like, Lobel said both. Both. I think everybody is both. He went on to say, at the time, it was important for me in my creative process to go inward and to start writing about things going on in myself. I wanted a mouthpiece for myself. I wanted a dialogue to go on between two characters who were essentially me talking to myself. You may have noticed, but most of the stories revolve around Toad's anxieties and preoccupations, and how Frog guides him and helps him overcome them. I'm so glad you came over. I always do. In the same sense, we need our frog half to
I always
comfort and
do.
nurture our toad half, to learn how to cultivate that sense of peace, so we can step outside when spring comes again and the sun is shining. And that alone could make us happy enough. Hey y'all, thanks for watching. I didn't have time to talk about all of the stories, so I'd love to hear your interpretations of ones I didn't cover, or which ones are your favorite, or if you drew different conclusions than I did. I probably didn't say anything you haven't heard before in terms of self-help, but I don't know, it's fun to look at this advice through the lens of Frog and Toad. And the ideas bear repeating anyway. If you enjoyed this video or any of our other videos, we'd really appreciate it if you considered supporting the channel on Patreon. It's just $2, it helps us in a lot of ways, and we're getting closer and closer to 50 patrons so we can start posting bonus content on there much more regularly. Check it out if you can. Hope your October is nice and spooky and cozy so far, and I'll catch you guys next time. Bye!
Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. I had to put on my reaching hat. Hear me out.
Hello and welcome. You've probably heard of Scientology. In fact, every 6 seconds, someone searches the question, what is Scientology? There's a lot of talk about us, and we get it. People are curious. Well, we want to answer your questions. Because frankly, whatever you have heard, if you haven't heard it from us, I can assure you, we are not what you expect.
Lasers? Really? To change the weather?
That's right. Well, as Mark Twain once famously said, everyone complains about the weather, but no one ever does anything about it. Well, instead of doing a rain dance, we physicists are firing trillion-watt lasers into the sky to actually precipitate rain clouds and actually bring down lightning bolts. This is potentially a game changer.
The medicine's called Factor 8. It was an injection medicine that was used for hemophiliacs, mostly children. Children had been born with an incurable disease.
Hold on, Mike. So hold on. So you're telling me that Bayer knew that this drug was infected with the AIDS virus. They yanked it from the market in America, and then they dumped it in markets
A drug was infected with the AIDS virus?
overseas?
What the fuck are you talking about? Oh yeah, the
one time they
acid
wanted me
trips.
to find out if there was such a thing as a poison that was undetectable, especially one that seemed to mimic a heart attack, that would kill someone, but it would appear that they had a heart attack. I did find such a thing.
Yeah, it's called ricin. Yeah.
This pistol fire the dart? Yes, it does, Mr. Chairman.
Our funeral fire awaits the corpse of care. Bring fire!
Skull and Bones. Yeah, Skull and Bones is real, definitely. Fucking freaks.
Thank you for clicking. For those wondering, I have clipped on a flower with a googly eye, in case I need a spare eye. Before I get into it, I just need to give everybody the update that I know you guys want. Diesel! Okay, he doesn't care. Naughty! Naughty! Okay, literally my dogs don't care. My dogs have both of their cones off. So today we're going to be talking about creepy conspiracies that turned out to be true. I know that in the world of conspiracies, it's a lot of hearsay, speculation. So I didn't want to do just like a video talking about crazy conspiracies, but I wanted to talk about the ones that turned out to be true because it's more interesting. Before I begin, you guys know I have to give my thanks to my returning subscribers, old and new. Thank you guys so much. Especially my last video, it was very well received. I do appreciate that. It was a very depressing video for me to make. Some of you even noticed that I seemed a little bit like affected by it, and I was. So that's kind of why I wanted to do a bit more fun video. Fun, I mean, and if you are new here, hi, this is me. I wear a
Hello, Nora Jasmine. I think you're my new favorite YouTube love or whatever. I think you're my favorite streamer right now. It's weird because I watch per capita more of her stuff than I think any other streamer for a while now. Maybe more than Asmongold, because her stuff's really good.
Full hat, usually not with the eye, and I talk about true crime and conspiracies. And today I'm
a true crime and a conspiracy nut, and I didn't see her coming. She shares that same stuff. Why true crime and conspiracy at the same time? I don't understand, but yeah. I'm a true crime fanatic. I'll listen to anything she has to talk about because it's all interesting to me.
Conspiracies, it's not going to be as depressing as my last video, but, well, you'll see. With all that being said, let's jump down the rabbit hole, okay? The theory that the Illuminati spelled backwards takes you to the official NSA website. The NSA is the National Security Agency, and the website is nsa.gov. And for whatever reason, you can try this with me. I've screen recorded myself doing it. I'll show it right now. ITANIMULLI.com, and then press enter. It takes you to the NSA website. I don't know if this is something that like could be hacked and somebody from the outside who has nothing to do with the NSA can sort of make that happen, or what it is. I have no idea why that is or what that's about. There's a million theories about it, none of which I can prove, so I won't even mention them. However, it is a fact that when you type this and you press this, it leads you there. Do with that information what you will. I'm just letting you know that's a conspiracy theory that turned out to be true. I actually found out about this theory that it was true in college. For those of you who don't know, I double majored in political science and history. Yes, I'm a nerd. The theory. The CIA has created...
Wait. Double... She what?
Yes, I'm a nerd. For those of you who don't know, I double majored in political science and history. Yes.
See, those are the things I want to do. Political science and history, didn't I say? I was like, I think I don't want a degree... And I think I want to finish my degree, and I don't want to and I don't want to do literature. I want to do either World War II history, Holocaust studies, or history,
I'm a nerd. The theory. The CIA has created a heart attack gun. This is true. Mary Embry, she began her career in the CIA as a secretary. Yes, darling, secretary. For the Central Intelligence Agency.
At one time, they wanted me to find out if there was such a thing as a poison that was undetectable, especially one that seemed to mimic a heart attack.
Ricin.
That would kill someone, but it would appear.
Or dioxin. Is it dioxin? I think it's either dioxin or ricin.
Find such a thing.
Have you brought with you some of those devices which would have enabled the CIA to use this poison for, we have indeed, for killing people?
It's a dart gun. Like the world's first dart gun. They're like, what the fuck is it?
Don't point it at me.
Or don't point it at me.
wonder if
This is so amateur hour. They're not even like warning these guys.
now, does this pistol fire the dart?
Yes, it does, Mr. Chairman. The round thing at the top is obviously the sight. The rest of it is what is practically a normal 45, although it's special. However, it works by
Stunt is special.
Battery in the handle, and it
Battery in the handle. Wow.
So that when it fires silently?
almost silently, yes. Very little.
What range does it have?
100 meters, I believe, about 100.
Yeah, you're looking at real close quarters for that. But those 100 meters is still pretty good. I mean, you wouldn't want to hit a guy at 100 meters. That'd be fucking hard. It'd be hard to do. You'd have to kind of probably like clear it above his head and pray that the dart fell and hit him in the chest or something. And it wouldn't be fun. It wouldn't be fun. But somebody within about 40 meters, yeah, that's going to lay them out in their tracks inside of 5 seconds before they can even reach you. It's a really good deterrent. This worm suddenly seems a lot stronger for some reason. Fire a water at him. He silenced me, that son of a bitch. I could die here. Run the milk? Now. I'm gonna have to melee him until the silence wears. Ooh, I should buy some medicine. That did not hurt him at all. Let's go. He can full force me and beat me here if I don't kill him. Yeah. Ugh. Why did that worm suddenly seem so much harder? God damn it. This is why I don't do worms. See, bees, they don't like differentiate like that, but the worms do for some reason.
100 yards, 100 meters.
About 100 meters range. And the dart itself, when it strikes the target.
Okay, I want to finish this, guys. As you can see, I'm fading. I'm sorry, guys. I'm fading, and I'm going to stop. I'm tired. I love you guys. Thank you so much for your time. Y'all have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you later. Bye. And I'm going to stop this video, but before I say goodbye, I'm sorry. You have been watching Skycat Live. Come to skycat.live. Click on the cast face donate. Come to the Twitch or the YouTube. Give me a like, sub, or a follow. I will be back tomorrow after a bit. And I will play some video games. So that's all I have for you on this video. And also a reminder, I have thousands of videos on my YouTube channel, which is reflected here. And yeah. Oh, I got a like. Was it my like? It's probably my like, but I don't care, whatever. I like this video.
In democracy, and no person should be above the law.
Yep. Anyways, so I have thousands of videos on my YouTube channel. I'm going to stop this video right here, but I'm going to publish this session that I recorded, which was only like 6 hours today because I like didn't turn on the recording. I forgot. I stopped to record for a friend. It's a little bit longer than that. I think actually it's like 10 hours or something, but I stopped to record for friends. So I'm going to stop this here. I love you guys. Thank you so much for your time. And this stream is going to end in 30 seconds. Thank you.